Before she was a name in books, she was a woman walking through the dark, listening for God, and carrying other people's tomorrow in her hands. They called her Moses, but she was not a prophet standing on a mountain. She was a woman with aching feet, a damaged body, and a heart that refused to leave her people behind. This is Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, the woman who would not leave her people behind. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery around 1822 in Maryland. Her birth name was Aminta Ross. Her family called her Minty. From childhood, she learned what it meant to be rented out, beaten, and treated as property. She watched siblings sold away, watched families disappear down the roads she would never be allowed to follow. And then, as a teenager, came the moment that changed her forever. An overseer was chasing a man who dared to run, grabbed a heavy metal weight and threw it. The man dodged. Harriet did not. The weight struck her in the head with crushing force. She collapsed, bleeding, drifting in and out of consciousness for days. From that moment on, Harriet lived with seizures, sudden sleep, and powerful visions that she believed were messages from God. Pain never fully left her, but neither did purpose. Harriet did not believe she chose her path. She believed she was led. She believed God spoke to her through her dreams and signs, telling her when to move, when to wait, and when danger was near. Before rescue missions, she prayed. During them, she sang spirituals, songs that carried warnings or signals of safety. More than once, she would suddenly stop on the road and tell everyone to hide. And moments later, slave catchers would pass nearby, dogs. To the people she guided, it may have looked like instinct. To Harriet, it was obedience. She once said, "I always told God, I'm going to hold steady onto you, and you've got to see me through." In 1849, Harriet escaped slavery herself. She reached the North alone, exhausted, frightened, and free. Later she said, "When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything." She could have stayed safe. Harriet turned around. Again and again and again, she went back into slavery territory. Over the next several years, she made about 13 rescue missions and helped lead around 70 enslaved people to freedom, including members of her own family. She used the secret network of safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. She never lost a single person. That is why they began calling her Moses, after the biblical leader who led his people out of bondage. Imagine following her through forests, through swamps, through nights so quiet you can hear your own fear breathing. Others holding children who must not cry, men walking on bleeding feet, every shadow a possible end. She carried a gun, not to threaten slave catchers, but to stop anyone from turning back and risking everyone's capture. And when people got too tired to go on, she took their hands, not tight, just enough. They were not being chased through the dark. They were being let out of it. When the Civil War began, Harriet did not stop fighting. She served the Union Army as a scout, spy, nurse, and guide. In 1863, she helped lead the Combahee River Raid in South Carolina, an operation that freed more than 700 enslaved people in a single night. She became the first woman to lead an armed military mission for the United States. Yet after the war, the country she had served so bravely gave her very little in return. She struggled financially, she waited years for recognition, but she did not stop helping others. Harriet opened her home to the elderly, the poor, and the forgotten. She raised money, cooked meals, listened to stories no one else wanted to hear. She spoke for women's rights, believing that freedom meant more than survival. There was no secret routes now, no midnight escapes, only the slow, patient work of caring for people when the world had moved on to other heroes. It was not dramatic, but it was just as brave. After her death in 1913, Harriet Tubman's story slowly faded from national memory. Her military service went unrecognized. Her rescue missions were dismissed as legend. It took generations of historians, families, and storytellers to gather letters, testimonies, pension records, whispered memories, and rebuild the truth. Her story did not survive because it was celebrated. It survived because people refused to let it disappear. Harriet Tubman did not leave behind monuments of stone, but pathways of courage, worn into the earth by faith and refusal. She did not wait for history to call her heroic. She simply kept going, choosing others, choosing danger, choosing to walk into the dark so someone else could see the morning. Today, her grave is quiet, birds sing where footsteps once passed. Leaves move where voices once whispered directions in the night. But if you stand there long enough, it almost feels like she's still watching the road, not for danger, but for those who might need a guide. Somewhere in the dark, a road is still opening.